Hi sweet friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm so sorry I didn't manage to upload a video last week. Moving out proved to be quite a lot, and I also happened to have a project deadline during the same week, but I'm back with part 2 to the moving vlog that I last posted. Towards the end of January, I was on full packing mode, and you can see me here doing some last minute packing on the day that we actually moved out of the flat. It was raining really hard on the day that we moved out, but thankfully the movers were amazing and it was a pretty swift process since my husband and I had already moved in lots of small pieces of furniture before as well. Our vision for the new house is to have our living and dining and kitchen area as one lovely big open space. So the house is also undergoing renovation right now since the walls had to be knocked down, the placements of lighting had to shift, and walls also had to be plastered. So it's definitely a work in progress, and it's going to be quite some time, I imagine, until we're able to make it all cozy, but we're taking things slowly and I'm really looking forward to decorating our new home. It's been a busy but rewarding week as we've tried to adjust to a new space and neighbourhood, and this video is a moving vlog, but it's also a mishmash of lots of different moments during the week of moving, such as working at cafes and reading new books, designing my home library, and possibly the highlight of it all, a whimsical trip to Harry Potter Studios. I had a really good time going through the video as I was editing and reliving all these different moments, so I hope you enjoy the vlog. Hi friends, welcome to the new house. We finally moved in and I'm currently filming downstairs. So I'm surrounded by boxes and I'm sitting on some newspaper on some plank of wood. I don't know if you can tell, but I've also got a slight cold, or I've got a sore throat either way, and it might be all the dust from the renovation. It's been a really exciting process, as you will have seen from the clips I showed. We've got an arch currently and that's coming along really nicely. The builders have to plaster, I believe, a bit more and work on the flooring and some of the walls as well. But after that, my husband and I will get busy picking out paint colours and painting the whole area. And so because the builders still need to work on this particular floor, all our furniture is currently in boxes in the filming room and the library room that I would love to create. There's literally no space for me to film there, so downstairs was the only option. But we returned from our trip from Warner Bros. Studios the day before yesterday, and it was the most magical time. I think it was my 4th time going there, but it was my 3rd time going together with my husband, and somehow it just keeps getting better and better each time. And this time round we even got to see Professor Sprout's greenhouse and the mandrakes, and that was such a fun exhibition. I think it was my favourite because it was so tactile and I just couldn't decide whether they were super creepy or super cute. The day that we visited the studio, the sun was shining for the first time in a very long time, and it did wonders to lift our mood after feeling pretty exhausted from the move. We had such a jump in our step and the whole day felt like a really lovely treat. As I mentioned earlier, this was our 3rd time visiting the studio together, but it was the first time that we visited when it wasn't dark outside, so the whole experience felt fresh and exciting. I think some of our friends find it quite funny that we enjoy visiting the studio tour so much, but I think more than anything, because my husband and I adore stories and fantasy worlds, going out to places like this gives that same adrenaline rush that maybe going on a school trip gives you. Being amongst fellow Harry Potter lovers in such a magical place brings us such a sense of happiness and nostalgia, and there's a definite comfort element to this as well, since it's become a familiar place to us now. Lots of you know that fantasy is one of my favourite genres, if not my favourite genre to read, and one of the very first book series that kickstarted that obsession was Harry Potter. I became so attached to the characters, the world building, everything that the characters were going through, and it's truly a book series that made me become a reader. Those childhood memories of falling into a whole new world are so precious to me. And in case you're wondering which house I belong to, I'll give you a second to pause the video if you want to try and guess. But, drumroll please, I am a Slytherin. I'd love to know if you guessed correctly, and if you're a fellow Potterhead, do let me know which house you're in as well. Honestly, I could talk about my sorting hat journey for days, so I'll spare you more babbling, but in short, I've lately been calling myself a Slytherclaw, aka Slytherin and Ravenclaw, because I share attributes with Ravenclaws as well, so I definitely hold a soft spot for all the Ravenclaws out there. But I feel that this voiceover has been going on for long enough, so I'll let you enjoy the rest of this montage in peace. I thought it would be really fun to share with you all some of the things that we bought from the shops. We didn't end up buying too many things, but the things that we did pick up are quite fun, so I hope you enjoy this little haul. So first up, we got this platform 9 3/4 ticket from London to Hogwarts. I was browsing through their different card collections, a lot of which were by Mina Lima, I believe, and I also ended up looking at the different postcards, but I eventually settled on this one. The reason why I bought it was because I wanted to write a little thank you note for my wonderful cousin in Korea and his lovely wife. They are just so good to us, and when my husband and I visited Korea last summer or September for our honeymoon, they went above and beyond to make sure that we were well taken care of, that we had lifts from the airport and the Airbnbs. So yes, we're planning on sending them a small thank you gift box alongside this card. Next up, we bought Bertie Bott's Every Flavour beans. We've already dug into this, and you guys, if you haven't tasted these before, they are so stinky. They aren't kidding when they say that some of the flavours taste like bogey or earthworm, earwax, vomit, rotten egg. You get the gist. The reason why we bought this in the first place was because we had a board game night with friends the day after visiting the studio, and we thought it'd be really fun to use these jelly beans as a sort of penalty for the losing team. It was so much fun using these as motivation not to lose, and I also love the little packaging as well. And last but not least, we bought Pickett. My husband and I both adore plushies, and when we were going through the little plushie section, we came across this little area where Pickett was sitting in the mandrakes. It was a really cute display having Pickett sit in between some plants, and my husband wanted to display Pickett hopefully in one of the many plants that we're planning on filling our living and dining area with. So that's everything that we got from Warner Bros. And then I also spent the day out at a Waterstones cafe, and this paper bag is a little bit worse for wear now because it's been sitting around for a couple of days. If you guys follow me over on Instagram, you'll probably already know which book I ended up buying, but at Waterstones in the cafes, they have this deal where there is a book of the month, and if you purchase a book of the month, then there's a free hot drink, I think. But because I was at the cafe to work, I was already planning on purchasing a hot drink, and then I saw by the counters their selection of February books, and there was one that caught my eye because I'd already been reading it via Libby. So that book that I ended up purchasing was The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. Like I mentioned, I already started reading this book via Libby, but I ended up running out of time on my hold of this book, and I reached about 20 to 30% through it. But because so many other people want to read this book as well, I have to wait multiple weeks if I'm to ever pick it up again. And so I thought that I'd pick the physical copy of it anyway, since I was really enjoying it. I think what I'm going to do is start it from the beginning and annotate or highlight in it, because there were lots of things that I think I was tabbing as I was reading the ebook. It follows siblings Freddie and Laura during World War I, and Freddie is in Europe fighting during the war, and unfortunately Laura receives news of Freddie's death, but she has a hunch that he's still alive, and so she ends up volunteering to go work at a hospital in France trying to find her brother. I believe there's a fantasy element added to this book as well, because I think it follows another character, a man who is known as the Fiddler, and he apparently has the power to make things disappear very mysteriously. So I'm excited to see how this book develops, and I hope I enjoy the rest of the story as well. I also thought I would share some of my current reads with you, because I haven't been able to talk about these books before on YouTube. But the first one is Letters of Vincent van Gogh. I'm very early on in this book. I'm still in the introduction, so I haven't actually made it to his letters yet, but I've only heard great things about this book. For those of you who have been watching my videos for a while now, there was a video I posted titled Life Lately, I think, and in it I shared a cozy trip to Exeter with my friends, and in Exeter there was a Waterstones, but when I visited at the time I really wanted to pick this book up, and there was actually only one copy of it left in stock, so I was like, this is the time, I'm gonna buy it, and the plan was to read it immediately after the trip, but that never happened. I never got round to picking it up. But as I was going through my book collection, I noticed that I hadn't picked this one up yet, so I wanted to start it now. There are a couple of sketches in here as well, in between the letters, and I'm just excited to read about his philosophy, his understanding of art and life, and how it impacted his art as well. Another book that I recently finished that I really want to talk to you about is The Hen Who Dreamed She Could Fly by Mi Hwang. This is a Korean translated novel, and it's very short. It's only about 130 pages, I think. So if you're looking for a short read, I highly recommend this one. It reads like a fable because it follows a cast of different animals who grow up on a farm, and it's been compared, I think, to Charlotte's Web as well as a Korean animal farm. I think I want to create a February reading wrap-up video. I'm not sure if I can film it or not, if I'll have enough time or not, but that's the plan anyway. So I hope to talk more about this book over there. But this book was such a melancholy, beautiful, heartbreaking story. It really touches a lot on the way that Korean people view motherhood and family sacrifice, parental sacrifice in particular. Of course, these are universal topics all around the world. But I think because I am Korean, I was able to read into the nuance of the characters and the complex Korean understanding of societal expectations. It was a wonderful little book, and I definitely want a physical copy of it in the future. Anyways, I think that's everything that I wanted to share. The plan for the rest of the day is to edit the video that you're watching right now, and also I think we're going to be visiting the old flat again to do a final big sweep and clean of things in that flat before we hand the keys over officially. So I'll see you in the next part of the video. We visited B&Q, which for those of you who don't live over here, it's a British DIY and home renovation retail company. A bit like IKEA, but more focused, I say, on the DIY aspect. But they had a couple of furniture bits and bobs that we were on the lookout for, and at the time of recording this voiceover, the renovated walls have officially finished being plastered, so we did want to grab a couple of paint swatches since we now have to paint the walls of the downstairs area and also my library. In part 1, I shared a small clip of what I then thought was going to be the filming/library room, but I spent some time thinking over it, and I ended up deciding that the smaller room next door was probably better suited to a filming room because it's not only cozier and quieter, but it also receives better lighting too. So instead, in the other room, which is slightly larger than this one, since my husband is a graphic designer and we both work from home, we're going to create a home office studio there instead. I find it a little difficult to visualize a space sometimes when I'm overwhelmed with choice, so I put together this very rough 3D room plan of the library space, and I wanted to share it with you all here. This is open to changing, but the idea is to create a cozy, warm, clean and inviting space with books taking up an entire wall. Now, I'm not sure what the bookshelf situation is going to be like, whether it's going to be floating or if I'll have narrow bookcases instead, but I do think I want the wood to be slightly on the darker side. But that's it for this video, and I hope you enjoy the random assortment of clips that made up the entire vlog. And thank you all so much for watching. Sending so much love and gratitude to you all. Bye friends!